So here we are then, day one of my Corona-19 virus self-quarantisation. I shall only be doing this for 14 days, then I'll feel better and all this will have been blown over. Although the plague did last for 3 years, so fingers crossed that don't happen. You couldn't cross your fingers in the plague, they'd drop off, wouldn't they? I've just felt a little bit peaky, a bit feverish and a bit of a cold, but I've been alright, I've just decided to stay in and avoid all human contact. So it's not that much different really to my normal life. But I'm going to keep a video diary. It won't be as good as the diary of Samuel Pepys or the diary of Anne Frank. It'll be more like the diary of an idiot peeps out of his window. But I should tell you what I see. I see at the moment that these windows need a good scrubbing. I shall get to that though. So, this is it for me Dear Diary, day one. Let's hope this doesn't give you the stomach flu as well, or it'll be Dear Diarrhea. I hope not though. Looking out my window. I'm fine with it myself, but luckily there's a lot of parties and functions that I didn't want to go to, so now I've got, pretty solid excuse, isn't I? I think it's a good job Christine and Julian are youth offenders, or else they'd be running some kind of toilet roll and baby wipes racket, wouldn't they? I joined a Facebook book for my neighbourhood because we can't go out. I don't post on it, I just read stuff on it, but same as I wouldn't, shout personal information out my window like some folk on there, but horses for courses, isn't it? They say on the news they don't even know what summer's going to look like this year because of the Corona-19 virus, but I could tell you, summer this year again will look like horizontal rain, black clouds 5 foot off the ground, and mild sunshine for about 12 hours, so that'll be business as usual really. Oh, there's old Nanny Harris, there she is, 93-year-old but she survived rickets, polio, the Blitz, being kicked and trampled by a pony and trap, so she'll still be here when we're all gone. Her husband were captured and tortured by the Japanese in Burma, so ever since then she's never stopped going on about yellow peril. But she says to me it's a sign of the times that even the Spaniards can't make Spanish flu as good as the Chinaman. I says to her, Nanny Harris, you can't use those terms anymore, they're offensive, and plus, who do you think made your hearing aid? But she pretended she didn't hear me. There's the Sheridan family there. They're pulling up in their Mondeo, which to me is just a jumped up Cavalier. But, here they are, unloading 6 or 7 times 48 rolls, a loo roll. But I don't know what they'll need all that for. Food seems more important to me, but maybe it's because I were in the TA. I can wipe my bum on a dock leaf, old towel, I've found, some of those old socks that I've got, the odd ones, I could probably use them, couldn't I? I can finally find a use for them. You can't even eat toilet roll, although when, poor Molly Sheridan were really big into the ballet, she did try eating toilet roll, did she? Just to keep the weight down. That was just before she went in clinic, but Oh, big bag of dog food, so Lassie will be fattened up. Well, maybe it might come down to that, you could have a big barbecue and sacrifice Lassie for a meal. Although that's probably how this all started off, isn't it? So you should probably avoid that kind of behaviour. There's old Billy Jukes over there, Billy Jukes. He says to me, he believes it's a conspiracy started off by Andrex, but he also believes that Elvis is still alive, so, he's just got a suspicious mind, him. He says his daughter, Kimberly, she phoned up and said she won't be visiting because of the virus, but I don't know what her excuse has been for the prior 44 years, but now she's got a legit one, isn't she? He's not allowed on the Facebook group because he's not allowed on the internet, you know. I don't think he's allowed within 50 feet of a youth club or a school either, so maybe them two things are connected. Oh, there's Mr. and Mr. Webster, lovely pair of fellas. Mr. and Mr. Webster are married. They take their peas minted, which is a euphemism, and they always maintain that front garden beautifully, which is not a euphemism. But they run an antique shop together, but it's closed now. But I suppose you could probably run an antique shop online, couldn't you? You know, yeah. Get it delivered and stuff like that. I don't know. They were supposed to be running London Marathon this year, but that's been cancelled, so I'll be none of that. For me, I can't see why you'd want to run 26 mile in first place, you know. Unless you were being chased. But, I don't know whether to take this lot seriously. My brother Paul phoned me up. He told me a joke. He says, I know a good joke about the coronavirus, but you probably won't get it. I didn't. But, you know. All I can say is the people who are making that sanitising gel, they must be rubbing their hands together. Day 3 quarantine, Corona-19 virus. But I've got cabin fever, me. You know, I've not seen much out this window, just the usual stuff. And, well, I did see a bloke pick his nose and feed it to his dog earlier, but, you know, I have seen that before, but it were with a cat. I spoke to Billy Dukes briefly. He says he thinks this ventilator shortage is a conspiracy. He says, and the ones that the government have bought don't work. I said, have they tried turning him off and turning him back on again? He didn't laugh. Serious stuff though, isn't it? There's Billy Dukes now. No, I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there. Come to the window. No. Come to the window. No, I'm not going out there. You come to the window. What is that? No! I said come to the window, innit? No, Billy, no. He thinks I were taking the mickey out of his deaf wife then. Oh no. It could have seemed that way, wouldn't it? But, I mean, it's his ex-wife now, because she left him for another deaf bloke. He should have seen the signs though. Corona-19 virus, day 4. Mrs. Harrison died last night. His family are over there now, rifling through the house for valuables, gold, jewels, loo roll. You know. She were 87 though, so death is common at that age. Death runs in my family and all, actually. He got them all in the end. It were either that or lack of breath. But my uncle Roger, he died of a bee sting. He weren't allergic, but he worked on chimneys, so that were that. Uncle Tommy, he were a mime artist. He had a heart attack. Nobody helped him though, thought it were part of the show. My brother Paul, he thinks it's all very funny, you know. He texts me, he says, you want to be buried or cremated, Terry? I said, surprise me. But, I got another one off him as well. He says, me and Tina, it's his girlfriend, he says, me and Tina have both got the Corona 90 virus. We can finally have Netflix and chills. I don't know what that even means. I imagine it were witty though. Supermarkets, they're having a run on pasta. Luckily for me though, I don't eat perishable food. I can't cook, and since Kathy died I've not been taking care of myself, so I just have super noodles from the bag, no water, no dust, and in the mornings I have cereal from the bag, no water, no dust. My mate Billy Jukes, he's a conspiratorialist. He thinks, he says, oh, there'll be loads of charity appeals soon. He's told me this through the window because I still won't go out there. He says there'll be loads of charity appeals soon. There'll be them wristbands, but the thing is, with that wristband thing, it seems insanitary, doesn't it? It's a shame Jimmy Savile's not around, because he could have, done a fun run, get some cash up. He could have fixed it. But, with them charity wristbands, I think they're a bit of a con, but I remember when Christian and Julian were dead young, this is before they were even in an infant's prison, and they came home and they had a pair of these wristbands on each, and they were for anti-bullying, apparently. Now, I didn't ever give them no money, and nor did Kathy, because she were alive then, and I says, anti-bullying wristbands, how much were they? They said, they're £5 each. She says, where'd you get the money for that? They said, just took them off some ginger kids. I'm so bored. I put my coat on earlier because I thought it'd fill up 3 or 4 seconds. But I got a leaflet through the door this morning asking me if I wanted any essentials, like soap or loo roll, but I thought I'd use the leaflet. So tough to flush though, because laminated. So I'm off work with my parcel delivery job for the Amazon. They said the Janosch and the Eastern Europeans can take care of it, if they've survived a war crimes tribunal, ethnic cleansing and the dinghy ride over here. They'll probably get through this. They made us sterner stuff, them lot, ain't they? Not exactly emotive men though. There's an ongoing pasta shortage I've been hearing about on the news. It's dead ironic, because coronavirus and pasta are dead similar, because the Chinese invented it, but it's the Italians that made it go worldwide. So life's full of these little ironies, isn't it? I'm a bit short on food. I wish I could go out and hunt in the garden or something, but it's tarmac. You'd be lucky to get one escargot out there, but not like my cat. She'll eat anything. Mabel, I saw her out the window. She were eating a baby starling she'd got from a nest. Ate it all. Eyes, beak, claws, feathers. Not a patch of it wasted. I've seen her eat all sorts. I saw her eat a big thread of tinsel one year, one December. That was, funny to see, but the aftermath was not pretty. I was trying to, pull this length of tinsel out of Mabel's bum like some bestial Vegas magician. My brother Paul was just watching, laughing, filming. He put that video up. It was taken down though straight away. And we got a visit from the RSPCA with the police with them. So that ruined Christmas dinner. I'm trying to find things to do. They said Shakespeare wrote King Lear and King Macbeth and King Antony and Queen Cleopatra while they were in quarantine from the Black Plague, but they didn't have telly then, did they? so probably easier. I was going to write my autobiography, but every time I, set words on the page, I feel like I need therapy and a bath, so I shall leave that. I speak to my mate Tommy Duggan. He thinks he's came up with a cure, a vaccine. He's come up with a vaccine in his garage. He says, do I want to try it? Sounds dangerous, but worth a shot. Day 6 of quarantine from the Corona virus. I've been stuck in here is giving me claustrophobia. I mean, I never even used to have claustrophobia. I only used to have claustrophobia when I were in lifts, but you can take steps to avoid that, so. The schools are closed now. Both of them. Actually, once Christian and Julian, they managed to close the schools, but they did that via arson. They got 2 years for that, though, and £100 fine each. They weren't sorry, they were laughing. Said it was the best £100 they'd ever spent. I paid for it for them, though. Mind you, to get shut to them two for 2 years, it's probably the best £200 I've ever spent, for sure. There's Mr. Sheridan now. He's working from home these days. He's a marriage counsellor, and it's going to be a case of physician heal thyself, because them lot over there with, the infidelities and Molly's eating disorder, it's no picnic. Must be difficult for him though, especially around meal times. I've been working from home. I'm on the sick though, so I suppose the rest of the country is as well now. It's just a shame we bailed out the financial banks and closed the food banks, isn't it? 'Cause we could have done with them this time of year, but 2020 hindsight, isn't it? I've been praying, asking for everything to be alright. That's the only thing I ask for, I don't pray and ask for things, material things, because people do that, don't they? But what they've done there is confuse God with Santa Claus. We should all be more like Jesus. I were just like Jesus when I were drinking, because at Easter I used to go out on Friday, not get back till Monday. Never said a bad word about anybody, him though, did he, Jesus? Well, maybe, once told Joseph, you're not my real dad, but that's just teenagers for you in the heat of the moment, isn't it? Oh, shall have to go now. I can spy my mate Danny Blake coming down the street. Wants me to get involved in his illegal hand sanitising business. He's been making it in his shed. But I've told him I've washed my hands of it, mate. I shall not be war profiteering. Day 7, Corona quarantine virus. We had our first death in the street last night. Mr. Selby unfortunately succumbed. Not to corona, to fumes, because he'd actually disinfected a mask and put it on too quickly, so solvents got to him. Sadly missed though, even though it's only been 12 hours. I don't even know why I'm bothering to get dressed anymore, honestly. I don't know why. I could just loll around all day in a dressing gown, my flannel dressing gown, but I'll not let it beat me. I'll get up and I'll shave my face and put my cardigan on my body, put my slacks on my legs. I actually got this one for £3.50 from Spastic Society. You can't even get these anymore. I can't get hold of the wood. But I should think there'll be a few more cardigans in the charity shops soon, because, unfortunately, old age pensioners dropping like flies. So, unfortunate, isn't it? I saw old Billy Dukes yesterday. He says to me he'd got a case of the Corona, and a case of the Stella, and a case of the Heineken, bottle of brandy. So, his quarantine does sound a lot more fun than mine, but it's not time for me to relapse at this time of year, is it? I have got a bottle of Vimto I've been saving though, so I may push the boat out, you never know. Actually, his nephew visited him last week while we weren't locked down, and oh, they'd made it fun for him. They'd made him a mask, but it were like a Darth Vader mask. So, you know, it's just the funny side of a pandemic. It's great, like Halloween or something. I often think about Darth Vader and I think, how does he even eat? Because that mask, you couldn't eat, could you? Unless the Emperor's force feeding him, but, you know. Nanny Harris, she's been saying to me that she's, you know, she can't go to church anymore, so she's dead disappointed. She always used to go to a different church. I used to drop her off every Sunday morning when I were on the way to watch soccer. And she used to go to a different church every time. Either in yon, you know, different church every time. More of a Roman Catholic, I think. But still very religious. I don't know what I am. Lapsed, whatever it is, but you know. That reminds me of that time when the police brought Christine and Julian home and they said there'd been an incident at the Catholic church, and I thought, oh no, they've been diddled. Turns out it were even worse than that. The policeman said to me it was the only case in recorded history when the children had done the abusing to the priest. So he had to leave the parish in embarrassment. Although he did have to leave because he'd also got a nun pregnant, because she used to like to dress as an altar boy, so accidents happen, don't they? Nanny Harris said to me that if it weren't for a Bible, she didn't know what she'd do. She says, oh, this Bible, you know, it's a godsend. I said, aye. So was the plague. So it's day 8 of me self-quarantisation from the coronavirus virus. I started this off as a video diary to pass the time. It may turn into the world's longest and most boring suicide note if this carries on much longer. I got a care package delivered yesterday. Don't know who it were from. It was like knock and run, but with happy result. So I found a box on my step. In it were like some rice pudding in a tin, one of them little jars of crab paste, fruit salad in a tin, not the sweets, a loaf of bread and some pasta. So that were nice. Unfortunately I can't eat the bread and the pasta because I've got glutamine intolerance, so if I do eat it I shall run out of all my toilet rolls, because it ends up being like some monstrous Jackson Pollock painting on the inside of my toilet pan. So I give the spaghetti to Nanny Harris. Well, not personally. I knocked the door, she didn't answer, so I posted the spaghetti through the letterbox. Maybe it were past her bedtime. Well, as long as she ain't passed away, it's alright, isn't it? Her grandson, you know, Nanny Harris's grandson, Tim, he's got a big beard, huge beard, right, scruffy sod he is, looks like a lumberjack, one of these whipsters, and he's got all these facial piercings, looks like he's been in a nail bomb incident or shot with a socket wrench or something, and he's got this huge beard. Now, I don't trust a man with a huge beard, well, I don't trust a woman with a massive beard either, but I don't trust a bloke with a huge beard because he's hiding something. He's usually like hiding a weak chin, maybe a weak personality. It could be a weakness for children. Sometimes they are a geography teacher, but you know, that's nearly as bad, isn't it? My brother Paul, he keeps in contact. He says, I've got another one. He sends them me on this What's Face app, and he says, I've got a brilliant one. Got a brilliant new coronavirus joke, but you'll have to wait 2 weeks to see if you get it. Seems a long time, but you know, he's used to all this. He's been living with a parasite for years. Tina, she's called. We don't get on, but you know, the neighbours are alright. Mrs Sullivan over the road, she's an English teacher, and so I says to her the other day out the window, I says, it's official, it's classed as a pandemic. It's been classed as a pandemic by the WHO, WHO, and she says, I think you'll find it's WHOM. Bit of a stickler. Day 9. Corona avoid self-quarantisation. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm already bored to tears. I've done my squat thrusts. I've looked out the window, which I should have saved for the afternoon. So I've blown that now. I'd say it's a good job for these mobile phones, because, and I don't mean for emergencies, I mean like for all these memes and these virus videos that go around. Just keeps you entertained. Paul sent me one, and it's off something called Tok Tok, and it's all these Italians on balconies singing. They're singing English though, because that's better, isn't it, you know. I wouldn't have been able to understand it anyway if it were in Latin, because that's just Greek to me. But actually, I took Kathy once to Venice, it were, and very fragrant, and I don't especially mean that in a good way. It was summer, and there is a lot of canals, but the bin men were on strike as well, so it smelt like a badger's ghoulies out there, or a milkman's glove, if you've ever smelt that, or had a milk round yourself. Yeah, speaking of phones, this is the answering machine phone message that Paul left me yesterday. See if I can. What do you do here? That's it. Right.
Hey up, Terry. It's me, Paul. You know, your brother.
Like I wouldn't know who it were. The name comes up, Paul, in the photo. Burke.
Are you still in quarantine? All the neighbours haven't painted a red cross on the front door. Tina's just come back from doctors. She said they didn't know whether they'd fit her in, but, well, I told her the surgery had double doors, so they'd probably be alright.
Yeah, Tina's that's a nice way of saying big. Tina's portly, like Dover. She used to play prop forward in a lassies rugby team. Asymmetrical haircut, rolls her own tampons.
We thought about doing a bit of panic buying earlier, but, well, farm foods only has fresh fruit and vegetables left, and, well, we're not that desperate yet.
Yeah, I don't think Tina's eating any fruit, to be honest, by the looks of her. Unless Starburst counts as one of your 5 a day.
Nobody's crazy, isn't it? They say, I heard on the news earlier, they say they're going to release some prisoners early. Let's hope they don't mean Christian and Julian, eh? A pair of thorax.
I honestly hope that's not true. I hope to God that's not true. Because if I say Christian and Julian turn up, especially if they're on horses with another 2 blokes, that'll be the harbinger of the apocalypse in the book of Revelations.
I'll be all you need right now. But I suppose they don't find burglaries so easy now, what with everyone being at home. I heard on news earlier, the Home Secretary said they'd be releasing the criminals what have done lesser offences. Get rid of them. They've got that all wrong, haven't they, Terry? They shouldn't worry about minor offenders. They should be getting rid of the major offenders. Rapists, murderers, granny bashers.
Now, I'd probably do agree with that. You know, especially if he's talking about getting rid of the rapismists and the child fanciers. I could probably get on board with that.
You know, I'm that lot. Get rid of them.
Well,
that'll bring the country together. And free up some space too. You could also put it on BBC One while EastEnders is off air. It'll get some good numbers, that.
Now, I ain't got to tell you, but that is a good idea.
Cheer up, brother. And don't worry, Terry. They say this virus were made in China, so it'll not last long. Anyway, I shall leave thee to it. Give me a ring back when you get this. Oh, I suppose I better go for a panic buy some coronavirus themed chocolate bar. You know, the Chinese whisper. Anyway, I shall see thee. Bye, Chief.
Chinese whisper, which is offensive. You're not allowed to call it Chinese whispers anymore, actually. That's racist. You have to call it Chinese telephone now. Day 10 of my coronal viral self-quarantisation video blog log. I shall only do this for 4 more days, I reckon, and then I'm going to go out, lick a load of banisters, lick some shopping trolley handles, and just disappear into the woods like some insane Russian saint, I think. The NHS is nearly shafted now. Thank God for all them immigrants, though. Or else it'd be done already, wouldn't it? Although there does seem to be quite a lot of medical experts online, so maybe they could stop posting memes and scrub up, you know, pitch in, get involved. I say we should commandeer all the private hospitals anyway, you know, all their resources and all that. It's war rules now, so different, isn't it? What they're gonna do? Private hospital, what they're gonna say? You can't take this off us, you and whose army? The British Army. Who've you got? We've got an infantry division. Who've you got? Sodexo contract cleaning team. Sit down. I got invited to join a group on the first tube. It seemed medical-ish. Turns out it's all conspiracy theories. People whinging at the government for their lack of organisation, whilst also blaming the government for orchestrating a global catastrophe like some nefarious, competent Bond villain. All the members in there say they're conspiracy theorists, but I reckon some of them are actors. A lot of medical experts in that group though, you know. Bricklayers, warehouse workers, barbers, people on dole. Theories about Corona. One I read was that it were the Nazis, or the Arabs, or gays, or the Jews, or a gay Jew Nazi Arab enclave. Another one said it was something to do with geese or swans. One fella said he didn't know what were going on, but he knew it would kill us all 100%. It's the kind of concrete data I like to work on. One bloke reckoned we should just turn out all the lights, lock the doors, wipe everything down and burn the place to the ground. An optimist though, him. You know. Some people say the victims, they're all actors. You've got to be a blinking good actor to fake death, ain't you? I don't even think Daniel De Niro could do that. Some of the spelling in that group were atrocious and all. None of them can spell the word apocalypse. Well, that's not the end of the world, but, you know, not a difficult word. Thank God I've got me some company. I've got Mabel, the cat, but she loves me. Well, I don't think she loves me, but she's definitely got Stockholm Syndrome, so it looks like love. I just imagine God up there looking down on all this going, if all these lot perish, I shall make them the same colour next time. Save me a load of bloody aggro. Day 11 of my Corona Oil 90 viral virus lockdown. Only 3 days till I've finished my quarantisation now, so I'll be able to go out into another room. Country's on complete lockdown pretty much. People who haven't passed their GCSEs are now going to homeschool their kids, so that bodes well, doesn't it? It's a good job Christian and Julian are in youth offenders, because if I had to homeschool them two, I'd be bullied. Possibly stabbed. You know, they're just, what can I say? They're free school meals kids, if you get me drift. Kathy and I worked, but Christian and Julian just enjoyed stealing dinners off poor kids. Little pair of so-and-sos. Oh, there's Mr. Sullivan. He went clay pigeon shooting yesterday. A frontline worker in the fight against ceramic discs taking over Britain's skies. But it probably has been tough for him though, because Molly, she's got an eating disorder. She's a bulimicist, so a lot of food going to waste over there. Although, you know, if it comes down to it, you could always make it into bubble and squeak, or an omelette. Most of the time I see her at night being sick out of the window into a window box though, so the birds get to eat that. It doesn't go to waste. Recycling. Mr. Sullivan, he used to drive hundreds and hundreds of miles a week, he did. He used to have to take her to these conventions for anorechists and bulmicists. He said he got bored of it though. He said, the finale's always the same, Terry. Big cake jumps out of a girl. Seems like a waste to me. I see a lot of folk on the internet web, they're whinging about not being able to go out. These are the same folk who sat on their backsides all the time, watching Prime flicks. You know, a lot of folk saying they need to work. It's essential that I work. Money's essential. What, in the cemetery? Maybe they'll get the message when they have to bury their children next to Tiddles and Lassie in the back garden. Maybe that'll bring it home. Or it'll just compost the garden effectively. The United States seems to be alright in comparison to here. You'd think the United States would have worse luck, you know. What with it being built on a giant Indian burial ground. Day 12 of my coronavirus 90 virus self-quarantisation diary. I've been so bored this morning that I've moved all the clocks from one room into the other, just as a way to pass the time. No one's knocking my door anymore though, so that's a silver lining. Poor Jehovah's Witnesses though. Finally been proved right about Armageddon and they can't go around recruiting door to door. Now that they've got evidence. I saw on the news that police had to break up a barbecue in Coventry. Tipped it over. That were all the consequences though. Imagine if that were in like Saudi Arabia or something, someone would have lost an appendage. Something would have been lopped off because they've got a very scimitar-based justice system out there. Good Paralympics team and all. I couldn't eat a barbecue in the heat in Saudi Arabia. I'd need something like a salad. A summer soup, maybe. Most of the kids though, you know, you can't tell them. If Christian and Gillian weren't in youth offenders, I couldn't have told them anything. I used to try and tell them stuff and they'd turn around to me and they'd go, why don't you go and stick off, Terry? They don't even call me dad no more. Why don't you go and stick off? Why don't you go and kill yourself like mum? I used to say to him, you'll not break me as easy as you broke your mother, lads. I'm stronger than she were. Sorry, Kathy, but I am. But you were a much nicer person, so I hope you went up, not down. Never know with suicide though, do you? No, we've not got any idiot shortage in the UK. We've got a bog roll shortage, but we're not short of idiots. I shall be alright without toilet roll though. I were in the Scouts and the TAs, so I learnt the old Bombay swipe technique. It's effective, but you have to go front to back, or else you get clinkers, you know, roosters, crows in the bushes, if you get me drift. The papers actually say that, you know, people don't understand social distancing, but by the looks of them, they've all had a restraining order, so they should get their heads around it. A lot of folk now are actually following the government's advice about health, so maybe while they're at it, the government also advised that you vaccinate your children, so get to that and all. A lot of folk have been told that they're essential workers, but their paychecks tell a different story. So, coronavirus 90 virus. Day 13 of my quarantisation. Wonder what'll say out my window today. Yesterday, I saw a bloke take his Bichon dog for a walk. He let it drop its dog eggs on the pavement, picked it up, put them in a little bag. He'd done the hard work, and then he swung it round, and it went right in a holly bush, and he just walked off and left it. It's still hanging there now, like some obscene, feculent Christmas tree it is. This generation, though, eh? They say they're going to call this generation of kids the Coronials. I reckon they should call them the Quarantine-agers, or maybe virus boomers will be called Voomers, or something like that. Prime Minister says no one's allowed to go out. He also says no one's allowed to go hungry, so you can't even do that anymore. Olympics is cancelled. That's just probably to stop Russian meddling, though. I reckon if they make pessimism an Olympic sport, Britain would, well, we probably wouldn't medal actually, would we? President of the United States, he says he's gutted that the Olympics isn't on because he needed to keep a close eye on the Mexicans, see how good they'd got at pole vaulting. Paul texts me. He says, do you want to hear a gag about agoraphobia? I says, I go on then. He says, don't worry, it's an inside joke. He's been sending me a lot of jokes about agoraphobia recently, but none of them go anywhere. Billy Dukes, there he is over there, washing his windows. He talked to me through the window the other day, and he says he's hopping mad about loss of earnings. He's done the maths, he says, and he says, I've worked out that I'm losing £25 an hour. And he says his missus, who does exactly the same job, is losing about £16 an hour. So, says in papers that every country is going to get this coronal virus now. It's just that Chinese got it right off the bat. Right then, day 14 of my coronavirus self-quarantisation. I thought I'd be able to go out, but no such luck. But it is my last day, thankfully. I can focus on fixing my washing machine now, because for the past week or two I've been using Persil in the bath and doing it in there by hand. And, I don't like to waste, because waste is a thief, isn't it? So I get in afterwards and wash my body, my back and my legs. It's a good exfoliant, actually. Opens all your clogged pores. I've never had, my skin's come on leaps and bounds. I was tell you this what happened yesterday. Every day for the past week, about lunchtime, a bloke stops on a bicycle out there. And he gets on his mobile phone. And he's pointing at the block, pointing at all the flats. And talking. Looks like he's casing the joint. Real shady character. So yesterday I'd had enough, 6 days of seeing this every day. He's mocking me. I think he's casing the joint. He's going to turn the place over. So I'm masked up. I'm just about to go out there and chin him. And my neighbour tells me that he's Daz's mate. And he's speaking to Daz through the window. Because Daz has got coronavirus. So I'm glad I didn't go out and stick one on him. Although I could have done with his bike. It's one of them nice ones and all. 21 gears. Shimano. Saw on the news, New York City's turned into an apocalyptic hellscape, like something out of Middle Earth. Although Mordor's still got its 2 towers. I had my nephew on the phone yesterday crying. He was saying, Uncle Terry, why can't Superman save us? I had to tell him Superman fell off horse and paralysed himself. He wasn't happy with that. On the first group book, Nanny Harris is still being mean about the Chinese folk, saying they're backwards. But she showed us some art, a portrait that her 6-year-old grandson had done of her, made out of glitter and shells. So I showed her this and said, 6-year-old in China made that, so how backwards can they be? She's just an evil old cow, her, though. She must take evil lessons with the devil. Don't know how much she's charging him, though. But Jesus predicted this, didn't he? Jesus predicted the end of the world in the New Testament. Although we could be wrong, he's not perfect. He's only half human, isn't he? But if it is the end of the world, I want to be in Lancashire, because they're about 20 years behind everything, ain't they? You know, when someone predicts the end of the world, though, there's usually a prophet in it. But it's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine.